Let me guess, you're in the middle of wedding planning and feeling a little overwhelmed with everything you need to book, schedule, and plan. Well, don't worry, because today we are talking about one of the most important things: how to spot major red flags when hiring your wedding vendors. I've planned over 1,000 weddings in over 10 years, and let me tell you, I've seen everything. Vendors ghosting couples, showing up late, overpromising and under-delivering, and sometimes just straight up scamming people. If you're South Asian, you know wedding planning is already a family event. You've got your mom asking about color schemes, your khala trying to negotiate pricing with vendors, and your dadi reminding you how back home, in her day, everyone just got married at home with chai and samosas. The last thing you need is a wedding vendor making it worse. I want to make sure your big day is as seamless as possible, so hit that subscribe button below because I post weekly videos with tips, tricks, and real wedding advice that will save you time, money, and stress. Think of me as your wedding planning bestie who has seen all disasters so that you don't have to go through them yourself. The first red flag to watch out for is a vendor with no portfolio, no reviews, or sketchy reviews. That is a huge red flag. Also, make sure their pictures are their pictures. You would be shocked at the number of vendors who use stock images or inspo photos for their portfolio profiles. A quick reverse Google search will show you that the pictures that they post just aren't theirs. Also, be wary of professionals who only have pictures of their family members' events. I'm talking their sister's wedding, their brother's wedding, their cousin's wedding. Everyone starts small, but if their only photos are of their sister's wedding or stock images, run. Even if they're newer to the industry, they should be able to provide some references or sample work. You don't want to be their guinea pig at the end of the day. And if their Google or Yelp reviews are filled with horror stories about no-shows, bad attitudes, or missing photos, believe those reviews and move on. Do not take the risk with a sketchy vendor. It's like when your cousin tells you she knows a great makeup artist, but then when you check their Instagram page, every single bride looks like she has the same shade of foundation on, and it's ghostly white. If there's no proof of good work, do not take that risk. Make sure you go with a reputable vendor that's been around for a long time and has proof of work and pictures that are their pictures. Number 2, the second thing to look for is pricing that is suspiciously low. I get it. Weddings are super expensive, and finding a vendor who is significantly cheaper than everyone else sounds like a dream. But here's the thing, if a price seems too good to be true, it's because it probably is. Quality vendors know their work. If one decorator is charging $10,000 and a different decorator is charging for the exact same thing for only $2,000, something just isn't adding up. Either they're inexperienced, cutting corners, or they might not even show up on your wedding day. It goes back to that saying, you get what you pay for. And I'm all about that saying. I'm talking about comparing apples to apples, not just going with every luxury high-end vendor that you see for every vendor category, but prioritize your needs and make sure that you're comparing apples to apples when you're looking at different vendors. Number 3, if a vendor has no contract or has a very vague one, run. If a vendor says to you, oh, we don't need a contract, we do everything by handshake and just trust me, run. No, seriously, run. A contract protects both you and the vendor. It should clearly outline the services, pricing, payment terms, cancellation policies, and expectations for both parties. If they don't offer a contract or they get weird when you ask for one, that's a huge red flag. No contract means no accountability, and that is not a risk you want to take, especially just living from the days of COVID when there were no contracts in place. What do you think happened to all these brides who had to reschedule or postpone their weddings? I don't care how many family weddings this person has done or how much you trust them, a contract protects you and them. Or let's talk about those vendors with vague contracts that don't line list everything out. Think of a Rishta meeting where the family keeps dodging simple questions like, Beta, what does your son do? Oh, he's working on some things. Excuse me? No details? No proof? Yeah, that Rishta is not happening. Same rules apply for vendors. If they can't be upfront about what they're offering, then you don't need that stress in your life. Go with a vendor who clearly lists everything in their contract so you know what you're getting and you have that peace of mind. Number 4, overly friendly vendors. In Desi weddings, it's already chaotic. There's always someone calling you John, who you swear you've never met, and half of your WhatsApp relatives are adding you to planning groups you didn't ask to be a part of. So when a vendor starts acting like they're your long-lost bestie, constantly complimenting you, texting you memes, acting like your best friend, that's a huge red flag. You've got enough actual aunties giving you unsolicited advice. You don't need a vendor pretending to be one. Sure, you want someone friendly and kind. Desi weddings are big on energy, on warmth, on vibes that match the madness, but don't mistake over familiarity for competence. Because while they're busy hyping you up about your bridal glow, they might be completely dropping the ball on guiding where the bride should be going and what vendors should be doing. Vendors at They See Weddings need to know their stuff. They need to know how to navigate timelines that run on a They See standard time, and need to know how to handle a 400-person guest list and not get overwhelmed when someone's uncle decides to take over the mic during speeches. So yes, personality does matter, but professionalism matters more. Don't get swept up in the attention, in the fake compliments, in the overhyped bestie experience. You're not hiring a hype woman. You're hiring a professional who can handle and manage the logistics, not just make you feel special, because you already are special, and your wedding deserves more than a new fake BFF. Number 5, they're pushing you to book immediately. A good vendor understands that choosing them is a big decision. So if they're pressuring you to sign a contract right now by throwing in fake discounts if you book today or making you feel rushed, that is a major red flag. Wedding planning should feel exciting, not like something you're being forced into. And a great vendor will give you time to think and ask questions and compare options before making a decision. So of course they'll try to woo you, but at the end of the day, they will leave the ball in your court. If you feel like you're being pressurized to make a decision quickly, that's not the vendor for you. Lots of times with my brides, I send a contract, I give them a soft hold for a week, and after that, if I follow up and I don't hear from them, we let it go. We open up the calendar for other brides who might want to take that date. And those who are ready to book will contact us when they're ready to book. No pressure, no games, no fake discounts. Good things take time, and if they're forcing you to commit without letting you think on it, it's giving desperate, and no. Nobody wants that. Number 6, they don't have insurance or proper licensing. This one is huge, and lots of couples don't even think to ask this. That's where a legitimate wedding planner comes in. A legitimate wedding vendor, whether it's a photographer, a caterer, or a DJ, should have the required licenses or permits. Why does this matter? Because if something goes wrong, like equipment gets damaged, someone gets hurt, or your vendor requires vendor insurance, you do not want to be stuck dealing with that mess. Always ask if your vendor is properly insured, which is a basic in every business. And if they act weird about it, time to move on and find someone who's reputable and actually has what they need. Most venues require a COI and $1 million liability insurance. All reputable vendors know this, it's a standard, and if your vendor does not have this or gets weirded out by this question, you gotta go. Number 7, they keep changing the prices or adding in hidden fees. If a vendor quotes you and then all of a sudden changes the prices once you seem interested or starts adding in unexpected fees, that is not someone you want to work with. A professional vendor will be upfront about their pricing from the start. You know exactly what you're getting and exactly what you're paying for. Sure, there might be some legitimate add-ons later on down the process if you request extra services or if there's travel fees, but they should already be listed in your contract. If they're constantly tacking on random charges, that is a red flag for some shady business practices. It's like when you go out to a tailor and they tell your outfit is going to be $100 to fix, but then suddenly there's a lining charge or a handwork charge, and because I feel like it charge. Before you know it, you're paying double. Don't let that happen with your vendors. Have everything contracted out and know the exact payment plan. When is it due? When is the deposit due? When is final payments due? And what are you getting? For example, a wedding vendor that asks for a hotel room for 3 nights the week of your wedding and says it's part of their deal when it was never mentioned in the whole year of planning or in any of their contracts. First of all, that's a red flag. Secondly, you want to protect yourself from that. Don't let that happen. Number 8, they seem disorganized or unprofessional. This one I hold very dear to me because as a planner, this is probably the most frustrating thing to deal with, not just for me, but also for brides and grooms. If a vendor can't keep track of emails, misses meetings, constantly forgets details, or just seems chaotic, that is exactly the type of energy you will be getting from them on the day of the wedding, and that is what you don't want. The day is chaotic enough. You don't need the people that you are paying that are supposed to be the ones making your life easier being the ones that are adding to your chaos. You need vendors who are organized, reliable, and on top of things. Anything less than that will be a headache for you, and a headache that you actually paid for. Hiring wedding vendors is one of the biggest parts of planning your day, and choosing the wrong ones can lead to major stress. So remember, trust your gut, do your research, and never ever ignore the red flags. The right vendors will make your day amazing, but the wrong ones, well, let's just say I've had to do a lot of last-minute damage control over the years, and it's not fun. Now tell me in the comments, what's your biggest red flag that you've seen from a wedding vendor? And if you found this helpful, make sure you to like and subscribe for more wedding planning tips and tricks. See you in the next one. Bye.